Going Beyond, a review of the Star Trek official guide to the animated series. 4 years after the cancellation of Star Trek, the original series, and thanks to the popularity of the show building through syndication deals and reruns, Kirk, voiced by Shatner, and Spock, voiced by Nimoy, returned to TV. Star Trek, the animated series, had 2 seasons, that's 22 episodes, and it won an Emmy. Are you a Star Trek mega fan? This is a must-have book. There are new interviews with writers, animators, and never-seen-before interview texts with Gene Roddenberry. Let's talk about the art in the book, as I think this will be the Marmite. That means I think some people will like it, and some people will hate it. I like it. There's no shortage of art in the official guide to the animated series, but most of it is early drafts, pencils and ideas. This is not a collection of the final animation cells put into a book. I like this because it gives that guide a behind the scenes feeling, and I was hoping for that. I can investigate any one of the 22 episodes and discover something that I wouldn't have been able to see just by watching the reruns on a streaming service myself. The guide begins by talking about the efforts behind making the show in the first place. There's a challenge of doing a Star Trek story in just 22 minutes, there's the music, and then of course there's Leonard Nimoy's reaction to finding out that either Nichols or Takai were involved. Well, up until the point they were involved. And one of the struggles that runs lightly through the book is the writer's efforts to get the capable Uhura into the captain's chair. A woman of colour in charge of the Enterprise in the 70s. Star Trek has always cared about diversity and fairness. It's one of the qualities of the show that makes it so great. What do you think happens first? Do actors record their lines and then the show is animated? Or is the show animated first and then the actors speak the lines to fit? As it happens, neither is entirely right. And I think the double page spread on how we move from script to screen is perhaps my favourite in the whole book. There are 10 steps. About 30 pages into the book, we get to the guts of the guide. It's here where we start to take the show episode by episode. We're given the star date and the guest actors involved, there's a blurb of the plot, and then interesting highlights. As I said earlier, you're more likely to get sketches that the artist put together to make the episode possible than just a reprint of any particular cell from the show. That's fine with me. The physical shape of the guide comes into its own here. Compared to most other hardback guidebooks for movies and games that I have, the Star Trek guide is shorter, but with wider pages. It fits nicely onto my lap. To be precise, it's 24.7 by 1.9 by 27.6 centimeters. And as you turn those perfectly sized pages, when you first get at the book and you start to flick through, I recommend that you nibble on the bloopers. There are times, for example, when Scotty gets a promotion to captain. Well, at least according to a momentary depiction of his uniform. Other highlights are fascinating. That's the name of the section. It uses Spock's own choice for words, of course. And it's there you can find bullet points of factoids about each episode. For example, Roddenberry wrote a similar treatment to the animated The L'Oreal Signal for a never-produced episode of the original series called The Venus Planet. The databank is also worth skimming when you first flick through the book. You will find this on the right of the final page for any episode, and it provides summaries of the key characters and places featured. Heck, there's even Arex's guitar. That's a double guitar that's played with 3 hands. It's hard to imagine anyone with a passing interest in Star Trek not having a passing interest in the official guide. Somewhat predictably, my thoughts turn to whether the book would be a handy one to have for any role-playing game group currently enjoying the Star Trek RPG, and I think it would be. Whether you're eyeing the guide as a Christmas gift or a new entry for your own library, I think it's worth it. The only catch is that use of sketches. I might be misjudging people, but I suspect some readers will hope for gloss and polish all the way. Admittedly, none of the Star Trek fans I've shown this guide to have reacted in that way. They've all scooped it up and disappeared off into nostalgia. Overall, this is a safe purchase for any Star Trek fan.